Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody are doing fine. The next topic that I'm going to discuss today is hepatitis C. So in previous classes we have seen mainly regarding hepatitis A virus and hepatitis B virus. So what are these hepatitis viruses? These hepatitis viruses are the viruses which are mainly affecting the function of the liver, and the main organ which is affected is the liver. The main organ which is affected is the liver. Mainly they are affecting the liver. So coming to this hepatitis C, this is also mainly occurring in which organ? It is mainly occurring in the organ liver. So you can see it in the picture clearly. This is how a normal liver will look like. When a person is affected with this hepatitis C virus, normally it causes the cirrhosis of the liver. It will causes the cirrhosis of the liver after chronic periods, means after long periods. So most of the population will live without any kind of symptoms, and after few years the liver may develop into cirrhosis, and it may lead to the end stage also. So you can see the progress in the picture. The first one is normal liver, and second one is cirrhotic liver, and third one is the end stage liver. That means the liver is completely damaged. Coming to the hepatitis C. So coming to the hepatitis C and its definition, hepatitis C is an infectious disease which is mainly affecting the liver, and it is mainly caused by the virus hepatitis C. It is mainly caused by the virus hepatitis C virus, which is also known as HCV. So most of the times the infection remains asymptomatic. But in chronic infections, it may lead to the scarring of the liver. And ultimately to the cirrhosis of the liver. And it will appear not in a initial stage, but it will appear after so many apparent years. So the infection which is entered into your the body, it will stay in your body asymptomatically for many years, and after the scarring of this liver occurs, generally it will lead to the cirrhosis of the liver. And it is estimated that there are nearly 150 to 200 million people. That means 3% of the world's population is now living with chronic hepatitis C. It is an estimated number. What they are saying that about 3% of this world population, is living with hepatitis C virus. So coming to the hepatitis C virus in India, it is estimated that there were nearly 12.5 million cases. And jaundice is seen about in 5% of patients only. So the symptom for this hepatitis C, but the symptom for this liver disease is mainly jaundice, and you can see this jaundice unfortunately in 5% patients only. So the importance of hepatitis C is mainly the chronic illness. Why the chronic illness? Means the chronic illness will lead to the scarring of the liver. After the scarring of the liver, it is leading to the cirrhosis of the liver. So what the primary thing is, we need to find out the cases in acute phase itself. So it is achievable only through proper screening. So about 50 to 80% of the patients progress to chronic hepatitis. So the persons who are affected with this disease, only 20% are being saved, and about 50 to 80% population is leading to the chronic hepatitis, about 50 to 80%. So HCV virus, coming to the shape of the virus, it is, you can see it in the here, it is surrounded by envelope glycoproteins. Surrounded by envelope glycoproteins, and it is having an envelope, and it is approximately the size of 60 nanometers. And it is having the core also. It is having single-stranded viral RNA. And it is belonging to the family Flaviviridae. The half-life of this virus particles in serum is around 3 hours and maybe as short as 45 minutes. So what is this half-life? Whenever the organism is entering into your body, so it will be having some half-life. So this half life is around 3 hours and sometimes as short as 45 minutes. In addition to replicating in liver, so it is having a special property. In addition to replicating in the liver, the virus itself can go and multiply in lymphocytes also. It can multiply in lymphocytes also. Coming to the incubation period, the incubation period in the hepatitis C virus is about 40 to 120 days. What is the incubation period? It is about 40 to 120 days. Coming to the mode of transmission, the mode of transmission is intravenous drug use, healthcare exposure, mainly the persons, the frontline workers who are dealing with the blood and components, and the patients who are positive with this hepatitis C. So who are the persons? Blood transfusion is one of the factor of mode of transmission of blood products, organ transplant with HCV screening, and hemodialysis, accidental injuries with needles and sharps, sexual household exposure to anti-HCV positive contact, and multiple sex partners. Vertical transmission is mainly through hepatitis C from an infected mother to her child. So all these are the mode of transmission. What are the mode of transmissions? Mainly IV drug use, blood transfusion or any transfusion of blood from one patient to another patient if they are having organ transplantations without proper HCV screening, and hemodialysis because it is mainly dealing with the blood itself, and accidental injuries with needles and sharps. What are the sharps? Blades. Means any patient who is positive for this hepatitis C, if that injection is coming and pricking the healthy individual, it can lead to hepatitis C. And the persons who are having multiple sex partners, and vertical transmission. What is this vertical transmission? Mainly infection is coming from mother to the child. So vertical transmission of hepatitis C from infected mother to her child. So these are the modes of transmission. Coming to the diagnosis part of this hepatitis C, mainly HCV antibody test is used. So ELISA test is used to diagnose the hepatitis C infection, and it is not useful in acute phase as it takes 4 weeks after infection for appearance of antibodies. So mainly the detection is mainly done through ELISA test, and this ELISA test cannot be used in acute phase. Why? Because the antibodies are appearing only after 4 weeks of the infection. So by this time the infection is coming and settling in the persons, and the person is becoming contagious, and it is transferring the infection from one person to another person. And they are doing HCV RNA test. These are various techniques are available in this PCR and branched DNA technique they are doing. So it may be used to diagnose HCV infection in acute phase. However, its main use is in monitoring the response of antiviral therapy. So mainly it can be used in acute phase to detect whether the patient is having hepatitis C virus positive or not, but it is mainly used in the response for detecting the response for antiviral therapy. So when you are immunizing the patients with these antivirals, so you can find out this HCV RNA virus is in their body. Coming to the HCV antigen, it is an EIA for a HCV antigen, and it is available. So it is an EIA for HCV antigen which is available. It is used in the same capacity as HCV RNA, but it is much easier to carry out. Coming to the preventive part of this hepatitis C, only general prophylaxis. Only what we can do is general prophylaxis, such as blood and tissue and organ screening if it is possible. So what you have to do, screening whenever you are doing a blood transfusion, whenever you are doing a tissue, whenever you are dealing with the tissue, whenever you are doing with the organs, you should do this proper screening. So no specific active or passive immunizations are available. So for hepatitis virus, there is no specific active or passive immunizations are available. Coming to the treatment, interferon, it may be considered for patients with chronic hepatitis. So the response rate is about 50 to 50. The response rate is about 50%, but 50% of responders will relapse upon withdrawal of treatment. So what it is saying, they are using the interferons, and these interferons are mainly responding in 50% of the patients. The 50% of the patients are responding with this interferons. But unfortunately, if we are withdrawing the treatment, again there is relapse of this hepatitis C virus. And second one is ribavirin. It is there is less experience with this ribavirin than interferon. Mainly interferon is used and ribavirin is very rarely used. So however, the recent studies suggest that the combination of interferon and ribavirin is more effective than interferon alone. So if we are using interferon and ribavirin along, means both if you are using at the same time, the studies are saying that they are more effective. The next topic that we're going to discuss today is hepatitis E virus. So hepatitis E is a viral hepatitis. It is mainly in affecting the liver, nothing but liver inflammation. It is caused by a hepatitis E virus, which is also known as HCV. Although hepatitis E often causes acute and self-limiting infection, it is having low mortality rates. So it usually goes away by itself and patient recovers on his own. Hepatitis E virus is not it is a viral hepatitis, and it is mainly causing the inflammation of the liver. It is occurring in the patient and it is going out on its own. Hepatitis E is going out on its own. So it bears a high risk of developing chronic hepatitis in immunocompromised patient, but with substrenal mortality rate. So it is mainly affecting the persons who are immunocompromised. It is mainly affecting the patients who are immunocompromised, and it can lead to the chronic hepatitis also, and subsequently it can be increased in mortality rates also. So hepatitis E develops into an acute phase with severe liver disease, and seen in fatality is seen in about 2% of all cases, and the fatality rate is seen in 2% of all cases. In pregnant women, the disease is more often severe, and it is associated with a clinical syndrome which is called as fulminant hepatic failure. So in pregnant women, it is causing a syndrome which is known as fulminant hepatic failure. It is causing a syndrome which is known as fulminant hepatic failure. So you can see, this is the picture here. So coming to the signs and symptoms of this hepatitis E virus. Mainly in acute infections. You can see jaundice, fatigue, nausea, and this viral RNA become detectable in stool and blood serum during this incubation period. So what is this incubation period? The incubation period varies from 3 weeks to 8 weeks. The incubation period will vary from 3 weeks to 8 weeks. So after a short prodromal phase, symptoms lasting from days to weeks follow. So after this short prodromal phase, what are the symptoms that are appearing? Jaundice, fatigue, and nausea, and virus RNA is also detectable in the stool of the person. So these are the signs and symptoms in acute infections. So and the other symptoms include, so where you can find out this hepatitis E virus is mainly, it is find out it can be seen in stool, it can be seen in blood serum during the incubation period. Serum IgM and IgG antibodies against HCV will appear just before the onset of clinical symptoms. So the serum IgG and serum IgM antibodies are appearing before the onset of signs and symptoms. So recovery will lead to the virus clearance from blood, and the virus in the stool will last for longer period. So immediately after the recovery, the virus is disappearing in the blood, but it can be seen in the stools for much longer time. And recovery is marked by, how you can say the patient is recovered is mainly the disappearance of IgM antibodies and increased levels of IgG antibodies. Disappearance of this IgM antibodies and increased levels of IgG antibodies will suggest you that the hepatitis E virus has been disappeared. Coming to the chronic infection, so till now we have seen in acute infections. What will happen in acute infections? Mainly after the prodromal phase, the incubation period will vary to 3 to 8 weeks. So after this prodromal phase, the symptoms are such as jaundice and fatigue and nausea are appearing, and you can see viral RNA in blood serum as well as in stools. So at the same time, serum IgM and serum IgG antibodies against HCV are appearing in the body. Against this HCV are appearing in the body just before the onset of clinical symptoms. So you can say that the recovery, after the recovery of this hepatitis E virus, the antibodies are disappearing. The antibodies are disappearing in the body. The IgM antibodies are disappearing in the body, and IgG antibodies are increasing in the body. IgM antibodies are disappearing in the body, and IgG antibodies are increasing in the body. And recovery will leads to clearance of virus from the blood, but the virus in the stool will persist for more longer time. The virus in the stools will persist for more longer time. Coming to the chronic infections, so while usually an acute infection in immunocompromised patients, so acute infection in immunocompromised patients will lead to the chronic hepatitis E. It will lead to the chronic hepatitis E. So occasionally it will lead to liver fibrosis and cirrhosis. So hepatitis E virus, it is a spherical and non-enveloped virus. Coming to the structure, it is a spherical and non-enveloped virus, and it is of 29 nanometers to 32 nanometers in diameter. It is of 29 nanometers to 32 nanometers in diameter. It is having single-stranded RNA genome. It is having single-stranded RNA genome, and the surface of virion shows. The surface of this virion shows indentation and spikes. It will show indentation and spikes, and this virus is very liable. It has been classified in the genus Herpes virus under the family Classiviridae. So it is classified into the family. It is classified into the family Classiviridae, and this genus is Herpes virus. So animal reservoirs are pigs, and incubation period is about 2 to 9 weeks. So coming to the mode of transmission, it is spread mainly through fecal and oral route due to fecal contamination of water supplies, food, and it is in person to person transmission. It is very uncommon. You can diagnose this through ELISA kits, which are available for IgG and IgM antibodies. So as I said in the earlier class, so as I said in serum, IgM and IgG antibodies are appearing against this HCV immediately after the onset of clinical symptoms, and during the recovery, IgM antibodies are disappearing, IgM antibodies are disappearing, and there is increase in the IgG antibodies. So in ELISA test, if you find out both IgG and IgM antibodies, you can say the person is affected with this hepatitis E virus. So when you are checking it after short period of times, if IgG antibodies are disappearing and IgM antibodies are increasing, you can consider that the patient is in recovery state. So coming to the prevention, mainly sanitation. You have to avoid drinking the impurity water. You have to cook the foods. And you have to avoid uncooked shellfish and uncooked fruits, vegetables, and those fruits which are not peeled or prepared by the traveler. So all these things you should avoid in prevention of hepatitis E virus. So this is hepatitis E virus. Just now, in briefly, we'll discuss about hepatitis D and hepatitis G also. So coming to the hepatitis D virus is also referred as hepatitis D virus, and it is mainly classified as hepatitis delta virus. And it is a disease which is caused by small circular enveloped RNA virus. It is mainly a disease which is caused by small circular enveloped RNA virus. So hepatitis D virus is considered to be subviral satellite because it can propagate only in the presence of hepatitis B virus. So coming to this hepatitis D, it is also known as hepatitis delta virus. It is also known as hepatitis delta virus, and it is disease which is mainly caused by a small circular enveloped RNA. And this hepatitis D virus is considered to be a satellite virus of hepatitis B. Why? Because in the appearance of this hepatitis B virus only, you can see the appearance of hepatitis D virus. You can see the appearance of this hepatitis D virus. So coming to the structure, it is a circular single stranded RNA. It is having a delta antigen and it is having HBsAg code. It is having HBsAg code. That's what they are saying, that it is present only when there is HBsAg in the patient. So it is of the size of 35 nanometers to 40 nanometers. So virion is spherical in shape. So as I am saying, it is of 35 to 48 in some areas. So it is of 36 to 38 nanometer particle with outer coat composed of HBsAg surrounding single stranded RNA genome. It is surrounding single stranded RNA genome. So why they are saying it is a satellite virus? It will replicate only when there is the presence of HBV virus. Coming to the incubation period is about 2 to 12 weeks. Coming to the mode of transmission of this hepatitis D virus. So the primary route is believed to be, it is similar to the hepatitis B viruses. This hepatitis D virus mode of transmission is similar to the hepatitis B virus. What is this hepatitis B virus mode of transmission? Contaminated blood, contaminated needles, okay, body fluids, an infected person from one person to another person. So all these will come into play. And hepatitis D virus, it is not transmitted through sexual transmission. Coming to the clinical features of this hepatitis D virus. So infection is dependent on HBV replication. Infection is mainly dependent on HBV replication. So as HBV provides an HBsAg envelope for HDV. So as we have seen in the structure, it is a single stranded RNA. It is enveloped by hepatitis B virus. So whenever there is increase in the hepatitis B virus, then only this hepatitis D virus can replicate, and it can cause signs and symptoms. So two types of infections are recognized. How many types of infections are recognized? There are mainly two types: co-infection and superinfection. Co-infection and superinfection. In co-infection, delta and HBV are transmitted together at same time. In superinfection, delta infections occur in a person already who are harboring HBV virus. So two types of infections are recognized here. What is this co-infection? Along with the hepatitis B virus, this delta virus is also infecting the persons at the same time. But in superinfection, when a person is having this hepatitis B virus, ultimately the person will also end up in this hepatitis D virus also. Coming to the diagnosis, delta antigen is primarily expressed in liver nuclei. It is expressed in liver nuclei, where it can be demonstrated by immunofluorescence. And anti-delta antibodies appear in serum and can be identified by ELISA. And IgM antibodies appear after 2 to 3 weeks after infection, as soon as they are replaced by IgG antibody in acute delta infection. So mainly, firstly, the IgG antibodies are appearing in acute phase. Following the IgG antibodies, IgM antibodies appear after 2 to 3 weeks of infection. Coming to the preventive part of this hepatitis D. So in hepatitis B and HDV co-infection, pre and post exposure prophylaxis to prevent HBV infection and screening of blood donor for HBsAg. And in hepatitis B and HDV superinfection, you have to educate the persons who are having hepatitis B. So that they are getting free from this hepatitis D infection. So, and the last topic that we are going to discuss today is hepatitis G. This hepatitis G is also known as HBV C virus. It is formerly known as hepatitis G virus. So it is belonging to the family Flaviviridae. And it is a member of Pegivirus genus. It is known to infect humans, but it is but is not known to cause any human disease. It is known to infect the humans, but it is not known to cause any human disease. So HGV RNA has been found in patients with acute and chronic fulminant hepatitis and hemophilus. Patients with multiple transfusions and hemodialysis and intravenous and drug addicts and blood donors are having this hepatitis G virus. It is infecting the human beings, but there is no known cause for human disease. So it is belonging to the family Flaviviridae. So far we have discussed all the viruses that are belonging to the hepatitis. So hepatitis A we have discussed, hepatitis B we have discussed hepatitis C, D, E and G. So all these are the hepatitis viruses. If you have any queries regarding these diseases, hepatitis viruses, you can contact me through my WhatsApp. And sorry for this audio disturbances. So presently I am facing little problem with my device, so I will try to rectify it in coming classes. Thank you so much.